Welcome to Sick Flicks, where we take a deep dive into the cinematic sewer to examine the goriest and most disturbing movies of all time. I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, and today we're looking at Joe D'Amato's gruesome cult classic, Anthropophagus. Released in 1980, this slasher cannibal film hybrid didn't exactly dominate the box office, but in the intervening decades it's developed a ravenous cult following and made the UK's infamous Video Nasties list, which only added to its taboo reputation. Does Anthropophagus still deliver the gory goods here in the 21st century? We'll find out when we score it on the Gore Card later in this video, but for now, let's get to the plot breakdown. This is how the film opens. Jesus, I've heard about starting in media res, but it's like we just walked into this thing mid-scene. Oh, sorry movie, am I interrupting? I can come back later if you're busy. The Savage Island? Wait a minute, I thought this was Anthropophagus. Turns out the Savage Island was one of the film's many alternate titles, including The Grim Reaper and The Zombie's Rage. Yes, Tisa Farrow is Mia Farrow's little sister. This was pretty much the end of her acting career. But you know what I always say, if you're gonna go out in a movie where a guy eats an unborn baby. That's how you cap off a career. And George Eastman, aka Luigi Montefiori. Montefiori gets a starring credit, a story credit, and a screenplay credit. Directed by Joe D'Amato, who's had like 13 other credits in this title sequence under his real name, Aristide Massachesi. Hard to tell who's had more alternate titles, this movie or Joe D'Amato. Our German tourists finish walking through the credits and head to the beach with his dog they'd picked up somewhere along the way. Like for real, where did this dog come from? He wasn't with them earlier. The girl heads out for a swim, while her boyfriend stays on shore to jam out to the latest David Hasselhoff hit. Crazy Germans. They love the Hoff. Okay, I want to take a second here to listen to the Foley work. It sounds like she's basically swimming in a toilet. Hey honey, you go swimming. I'm gonna stay here and work on my Princess Leia cosplay. After some more toilet swimming, our German tourist heads for this abandoned boat. On our way there, we get our obligatory Jaws shot. Did we just wander into a Jaws ripoff? No, but don't worry, D'Amato did direct his own sharksploitation flick with 1989's Deep Blood. The German tourist gets dragged under by something, and her boyfriend on the beach is totally oblivious. The dog isn't though. He's all like, I'm getting the hell out of here. Whatever got the girl in the water wasn't a shark, unless it's one of those pesky land sharks, because it walks up on the beach. Aw man, you're getting blood all over the sand. Our killer then takes this opportunity to introduce himself to Hans Cleaver, son of Ward and brother to Wally and the Beeve. In your face, Hans. With the first kill out of the way, it's time to meet our cast. There's a pregnant woman, Maggie, which will be important later. Her bumbling husband, Arnie, lecherous Danny, and kinda creepy Carol. These guys are gonna island hop or something. They bump into Tisa Farrow's Julie, literally, who invites herself along for the trip.
I have to join some friends on one of the islands. I just need a lift.
I love that Danny doesn't even try to hide the fact that he's inviting her along so he can try to hook up with her.
Sounds fine, huh? Hell yeah.
And we get a Joe D'Amato cameo. He's the last guy off the cable car, that dude with the beard. Julie explains that she needs to get to some nearly uninhabited island 100 miles off the coast that's only accessible by boat. This doesn't sound ominous at all, but after a vote they decide to take her anyway. Bad move. After a jaunt through the docks, our heroes set off on the SS Minnow for a 3-hour tour. Andy lets Julie steer the ship, which is pretty brave.
Would you like to take over?
I'd love to.
No, your other left. Oh my god, now we're lost at sea. Nice work, Julie. With time to kill, the ladies head downstairs for a little tarot card reading. Hey Danny, you want to tag along?
Hell yeah.
Oh shit, grab the chastity belts and lock up your daughters, cause we've got a dude with a guitar. Danny here is providing musical accompaniment for the fortune-telling. Captain and Tennille should really take this show on the road. The point of all this prognosticating is that Maggie wants to know her unborn baby's future.
I want to know everything about the kid.
Look, Maggie, I can tell you that kid's future now. He's gonna be a hot lunch. See, I don't even need cards. I gotta say, this home version of Card Sharks isn't quite as exciting as the one on TV, that's for sure. Oh look, the cards say we're all gonna die horribly. Good times.
If you ask the cards about the future and don't get any answer, that means there is no future.
Dun dun dun. Now that we've gotten the portents of doom out of the way, it's time for some exposition. Julie's basically a nanny.
I keep the girl company, and they finance my vacation.
Meanwhile, Carol's acting weird, telling everyone they shouldn't have brought Julie and that they shouldn't step foot on this island. But no one's listening to her, even her brother Andy, who thinks she's nuts.
Carol's a genuine lunatic, has been since she was a kid.
Carol's very attached to her tarot cards, so it's probably a bad sign that she's tossing them overboard here. Eventually, they arrive at the island. Everyone heads ashore except for Maggie, who twists her ankle and stays behind. Our human spam walk across the empty island, which weirds Julie out, but don't realize they're being watched. Don't look now, but our unseen assailant has his eye on Maggie, and she's looking tasty. The rest of our victims discover the island is deserted. And it's isolated too. No phones or anything.
Aren't there any phones on this island?
No, they've never had a line to the mainland.
There is a broken telegraph machine though, which is probably another bad sign. I do want to point out that while a lot of people claim Anthropophagus is a bit slow, it's also genuinely atmospheric. The isolated island really feels empty. There's a sense of foreboding looming over everything that happens while they explore. Anyway, back in the movie, Danny and Carol spot a strange woman in the window, just like Norman Bates' mom. They try to find her, but uncover another empty house. There's a note in the grime on the window. Hey, when did they film this in my house? I have that same note on my windows. They spot her outside and decide to give chase. So you know what time it is. It's jump scare o'clock. Back on the boat, Maggie and the deckhand are lounging around. He winds up in the water. This doesn't seem like the time for a swim. Maggie, concluding that you just can't get good help these days, goes to get her own bucket of water. She's about to soak her foot in it, but someone's already soaking a severed head in there. I hate when that happens. Also, that's a really crappy looking fake head if we're being honest. Back in the cottage, everyone's freaked out about the corpse, which appears to have been eaten. They then decide they need to get back to the boat.
Let's get back to the boat.
The bad news is our killer has cut the boat loose, trapping everyone on the island. Too bad the professor isn't here to make a coconut life raft so they can sail out to it or something. With darkness coming, they've got to hunker down, so they agree to head to Julie's friend's place.
Let's go over to my friend's house. I'm sure they'll put us up for the night.
Meanwhile, just above their line of sight, our killer is dragging Maggie away. I'd say she's dead weight, but she's not actually dead yet. Then we break for more exposition. Julie and Andy try to figure out what's going on.
There could have been an epidemic. Some kind of lightning-like virus.
That night, with a storm brewing, Julie feels like maybe they should look for Maggie.
Poor Maggie. We've got to go look for her.
Why didn't you do this while it was still light out? Carol, meanwhile, takes this opportunity to play a round of I told you so.
Just as I felt we should never come to this island. But nobody listened to me. And now it's too late. There's evil on this island. An evil that won't let us get away.
She's super cheerful, too. That Carol, always an optimist.
Shut up, Carol.
Andy decides that they'll search for Maggie in the morning. Danny's on board.
You with us?
Hell yeah.
Everyone decides to camp out in the living room while the storm rages. Unfortunately, no one builds a blanket fort. Julie hears a strange noise and then wanders around. You probably don't need the candle. That spotlight that's following you around should be more than bright enough. And then it's time for a jump scare. Julie and Danny head off to explore the sound, which they somehow heard over the generic thunderclaps on a soundtrack repeating every 1.5 seconds. Their exploration leads them down to the basement. Did they just wander into the ending of the Blair Witch Project? Down here, they find a piano and wander right into another jump scare. But if you thought that was the only jump scare in this scene, you're wrong. Look at this crazy woman popping out of the barrel. Turns out Stabby McStabberson here is the daughter of the friends Julie was supposed to meet. Andy bandages up Danny's wound. Suck it up, dude. It's barely a scratch. That kitten's doled out worse than that. And then it's time for more exposition. She says no one's there except some dude who stinks. Like literally.
Blood. He smells of blood.
Andy and Arnie head out for a late-night trek through the woods, which is really just mid-afternoon conveniently filtered in an attempt to convince you it's night. Back at the house, Carol tries to put the moves on Danny, but she gets shut down. Don't look now, but there's jealousy brewing. Danny sneaks off to make his move for Julie, but then he gets shut down. No one's hooking up in this movie, that's for sure. Then Carol walks in and blames Julie for everything.
Damn you. It's your fault. Everything that's happening, it's all your fault.
Carol flees into the night and Danny gives chase until he's sidelined by that shoulder injury. Nice acting there, Laurence Olivier.
Hell yeah.
As Julie chases Carol out into the storm, we get another sighting of the strange lady from earlier. She's out here hiding in the bushes like a creeper. Well, this may be the least convincing night scene ever, but at least they remembered to put the fake lightning back in it. Carol then locks Julie behind a gate and leaves her trapped in the cemetery. Good job, Julie. Back at the house, Danny is with the blind girl. Maybe she'll be receptive to my ham-handed advances. Before he can try, her olfactory early warning system kicks into overdrive. Is that you, or is the killer here? Well, I did have beans for dinner. Danny grabs the cleaver and looks for our killer. He locks Rita the blind girl in with the killer. Nice work, Danny.
Hell yeah.
Luigi Montefiori basically looks like the resurrected corpse of Randy the Macho Man Savage. Oh yeah! Man, my Randy Savage impression sucks. Danny rushes back to confront the killer, but is easily overpowered and then has his throat bitten out. Snap into a Slim Jim! It's about time we got some killing. Everyone comes back to find Rita alive and Danny dead. And then it's mid-afternoon. Because, sure, why not? Their next stop is at the Villa de Exposition, where we learn about a shipwrecked guy who disappeared with his family.
I read in the papers a few months ago about Klaus Weltman. He was shipwrecked not far from home, but disappeared with his wife and child.
Seems like this could be important. And there's that strange woman in the window again. I think we just got the whole movie explained. Luigi Montefiori is the shipwrecked dude. The woman in the window is his sister. The strange woman isn't alone, though. She's invited Carol for a sleepover. I'm gonna dip her hand in a bowl of warm water. It'll be hilarious. Since we haven't met our exposition quota, everyone wanders into the villa while telling us more about this missing family.
The Weltmans have been more or less masters of the island for years.
Meanwhile, the creepy lady upstairs is tying some knots. I can guess how this is gonna play out. Before everyone can head upstairs, the lady in the window drops in for a visit. Carol, meanwhile, somehow slept through this whole thing. Ambien is a hell of a drug. The boat's back in sight ashore, so Arnie and Andy leave the girls behind, because that seems like a great idea, right? But at least this gives Carol an opportunity to apologize for being a jerk.
Julie, look, I'm really sorry. I've been miserable to you.
Which also means she's as good as dead in the next 5 minutes. With that out of the way, they start pilfering through the dead lady's stuff. They find these Luigi Montefiori glamour shots. He had those done down at the Ola Mills studio at the mall. If you're not 40 years old, that joke probably makes less sense. The sister's burn-up diary offers up more exposition. She's been hiding the bodies for him as he kills people on the island. Meanwhile, Arnie and Andy split up too, because no one should actually stick together in this movie. Arnie winds up in this crypt, where he's accosted by this hand-thrown bat. The best part of this is the crew person just basically underhanded it at him like this was a game of slow-pitch softball. Fun fact, this is a real crypt, and there were real skulls and bones in these scenes. But since there weren't enough, the FX crew added some fake ones. When filming ended, no one bothered to figure out what was real and what was fake, so Joe D'Amato basically became a grave robber who absconded with human remains. Why the hell do these rats have red eyes? It is nice that Luigi Montefiori shares his leftovers with his pets, though. Also, when did this turn into a Hammer movie? I'm totally expecting a caped Christopher Lee to show up at any second. Arnie then finds Maggie, who's basically just chilling in the crypt. Back at the villa, Julie's wandering around and breaks a mirror. Well, I guess the lady who owns the house is dead, so we might as well just trash the place. The secret room is filled with bodies. How did the blind girl with the supersonic nose miss this? It must stink to high heaven in there. Clearly, this movie spent most of its budget on rotting corpses. It's less effective the second time, guys. Don't look now, but Luigi Montefiori has Arnie and Miss Elizabeth cornered. Montefiori looks like he could use a few cycles of Proactive to clear up that complexion. Time for a flashback. This woman and Todd Flanders are trapped in a lifeboat with Luigi Montefiori. I don't like the way Luigi Montefiori is looking at that kid like he's a Christmas ham. Oh shit, he's got a knife. Gonna carve me some long pig tonight, fellas. Instead, he winds up accidentally stabbing his wife. Well, I was gonna eat the kid, but I guess you'll do. Smash cut to the present, where he stabs Arnie. Way to put up a fight, man. And now we come to one of Anthropophagus' most infamous scenes. Luigi Montefiori kills Maggie by ripping her unborn fetus right out of her and then chowing down on it. Try the veal, I hear it's delicious. Also, I'm pretty sure he considers that takeout. In case you were wondering, that fetus is actually a skinned rabbit. Mia Farrow got to give birth to the devil's spawn in Rosemary's Baby. Tisa Farrow got to be in a movie where Luigi Montefiori eats a baby. Same, right? Back at the villa, Carol ditches the blind girl so she can go look for Julie, who's just down here in the corpse library reading her book. At least it's quiet. Carol winds up with a slit throat. Somehow. I gotta admit, this is getting off pretty easy for Zora Karova. I mean, she got hooks through her boobs in Cannibal Ferox and stabbed in the lady parts with a broken bottle in New York Ripper. With Carol dead, it's off to the races for Julie and Luigi. Luigi's pretty slow, but Julie's got the blind girl with her, which balances things out. Montefiori does the Michael Myers walk, but our heroines have failed Slasher Film 101 and are running up the stairs instead of out of the house. Eventually, they hit the end of the line in the attic. They seal themselves in, which Luigi probably likes since they'll basically slow roast like a couple of rotisserie chickens up there. But they're not really safe because, surprise, he's coming through the roof. And he's got Rita by the hair. He's chowing down on some throat tartare, then Tisa Farrow nails him in the leg with a pickaxe. He falls off the roof, but we all know there's no way he's really dead. Julie makes her escape with the pickaxe, but can't find Montefiori on the ground. She looks into the well for some unfathomable reason and finds herself a jump scare. Now she's hanging by a thread, and Montefiori is coming for his dessert. She manages to climb up, but our killer is hot on her heels. And then we come to Anthropophagus' other most infamous scene. That's right, you get two infamous scenes in this movie. Andy, who you probably forgot about, buries the pickaxe in Luigi Montefiori's guts, and then Montefiori pulls out his own intestines and eats them. And then he dies. Cue credits. And by cue credits, I mean give us a title card with the end on it, because this movie is like, I'm out of here. I want nothing to do with a movie where a guy eats a baby and his own guts. Montefiori says he's ashamed of the film, but understands it has a cult following because there are lots of weirdos out there. Guilty as charged, Luigi. Guilty as charged. And with that, we've made it through another sick flick. Let's see how this one stacks up on the Gore Card. Anthropophagus is way more atmospheric than you'd expect an Italian splatter film to be, but it does manage to deliver some gross anatomy when it counts. We've got a cleaver to the face, multiple ripped out throats, several stabbings, gut munching, and the unborn baby appetizer. FX artist Giuseppe Ferranti definitely delivers the gory goods here. While it may not be wall-to-wall splatter, it's easy to see why gorehounds love Anthropophagus. And for that, I'm giving it 4 barf bags out of 5. It may not be splatter from beginning to end, but it's hard to get more metal than eating your own guts. Have you seen Anthropophagus? If so, let me know what you thought of it in the comment section below. And while you're down there, why not like this video and subscribe to the channel? I'm off to explore an isolated island, and I figured I might as well bring some of you along for the trip. You wouldn't want to miss that, would you? Of course you wouldn't. Oh, and check out some of my other videos. You'll find links to other sick flicks here on the screen. I'll meet you over there. Don't leave me hanging. Until next time, I'm Mike Bracken, aka The Horror Geek, bringing you all the splatter that matters.